Hello there, my name is Suzanne Verton and I'm from a company called Discover Change, and I have been part of developing a great platform, a digital platform called Skills360. And I'm really excited to be here today with Mark Penny, who is actually one of the founders of Skills360. So thank you so much for taking the time today. And Mark's going to be sharing today a little bit more about what is Skills360, what it's used for, who it's for, and how actually organizations and individuals can use it to develop themselves personally, professionally, and in business, but also how actually you can get started with using Skills360 pretty much straight away. So once again, Mark, thank you so much for taking part. Maybe if you could just get started with sharing what is actually Skills360 and what is it used for?
Morning, Susan, and thanks for sharing your time and allowing us to do this interview together. So Skills360, yes, Skills360 is a platform for community-based organisations. Across the UK, there are millions and millions of small community projects, organisations, groups who are doing fantastic work in the community that they serve. They have people who work for them, they have volunteers, they have people who benefit from their projects. All of these people are people who are on a development journey. And often, because of the size of the project, they're often excluded from the sorts of development tools that big corporate organizations or big companies or government departments may have. So what Skills360 is about is really about providing those small community groups and organizations with the tools that allow them to serve and to help the people within their organization.
Okay, so that's excellent, and it's all it's a digital platform full of different kinds of resources, isn't it? And actually, you mentioned there are quite a few people already in organizations who it's suitable for. So you mentioned volunteers, workforce. Who else would Skills360 be suitable for?
Well, as you say, volunteers, workforce, but also there's lots of community-based projects that are working particularly with young people, providing young people with the opportunities, volunteering opportunities to develop themselves. And Skills360 provides a digital platform to help them with their training, but also gives them tools which they can evidence their development. So anyone working in those organizations can have the sorts of tools that a larger corporate organization might have if you were part of that. But yes, certainly workforce, volunteers, but also individuals that the project is trying to reach.
Excellent. So obviously it sounds like it's very much focused on community development and supporting people to become very good in their role, in their responsibilities, and conducting those very important tasks in helping the community, supporting the community. So how would you describe what is the overarching goal for Skills360?
I think the key thing for Skills360 in terms of our goal is to help build the resilience of community-based organizations. Often community organizations struggle to employ people, keep them. They struggle because they can't find funding over a long period of time. And often that's because they can't develop the skills they need to do that. So what Skills360 is trying to do is provide them with the knowledge, the skills, the experience, sometimes even help with getting the qualifications people in those organizations will need if that community organization is to be resilient and to succeed in the long term. Our goal is all about saying, how do we help those community organizations to flourish through their people? And that's the absolute key of what we're trying to do.
Well, that's really great. And we can actually see there are already many partners and constantly more partners coming in who collaborate in developing different types of resources, who also bring their volunteers as well to benefit from the great resources that are available. You mentioned there are a few, for example, resilience, such an important part. And actually these project management tools as well, running community projects can be quite an overwhelming and big task. So it's great to see that it's obviously like a one place where people, organizations can go and get some of these tools. So what would you say is the core strategy to achieve this goal? So we talk about partnerships. How else how would you describe the core strategy for that?
I think you've hit the nail on the head, Susan. The core strategy is all around connection. It's around connection. It's around sharing. what we're trying to do in a digital space is bring community groups together with training providers, often local training providers or national training providers, that say, look, we can offer you the support you need. Those community organizations can access them, easily connect with them, they can exchange ideas. And then, and I think the part of the project you've been working on, you've seen, what we then find is those community projects have a wealth of experience, talent themselves that they can then share with others. So really good examples of that was we've got some great community leaders that can talk about how they've developed their organizations, how they've got funding, how they've gone about recruiting people, and those voices need to be heard and shared. And what we're finding is, as those community projects share and connect with others, it's providing the development that other community projects then need. But also, as I said, there's some really great formal training out there from really good providers that community groups can tap into, but often they just don't know it's there. And the space, the digital space, allows that to happen. And of course, then, as I've said, people can then evidence the work they've done. So they can say, look, I went on this training course. This is the development I experienced. I volunteered in this food kitchen. This is how I've gained my skills, and they can evidence that on the platform as well. So it gives people the chance to shout out a little about what they're achieving, both for themselves, but also for their community.
Absolutely. And there is even opportunities, quite a few opportunities to even promote some of these events and opportunities so that even more volunteers could come and join the events or the online events or these different types of activities that are being held by different community groups. So it's a great platform to bring a lot of different people together, isn't it?
That's exactly right. And again, what we're finding is that those community groups who have opportunities are able to post those online. They have their own partner space where they can, in their space, they can talk about their projects, they can talk about their community, they can upload any training or development they offer or any resources they'd like to share. But also, as you said, they can say, look, we're looking for volunteers, or we've even got some paid work. They can go on the platform in their own space, but then we can share that across all the organizations that are signed up to Skills360. That's right.
That's great. Okay, so that's a big vision, and I bet it wasn't an overnight when this came about. I can imagine, and there's a lot of different communities, a lot of different individuals involved. So how would you describe what promise is Skills360 making?
Well, really, it's about a promise to communities, community groups, community organizations, community projects to say, enroll with us on Skills360 and we will help and support you to make your project safer. We'll make it more resilient. We'll hopefully make it more efficient, evidence the work that you're doing, maybe more diverse, more inclusive. And those are the things that are so important for community projects to succeed in, but often they're just not quite sure the ways they go about that. We've got the resources, the training that can help the organisation. So our promise is, if you want to do those things, we've got the people and the resources that can do that for you.
Absolutely, and I had great pleasure in interviewing some of your key community leaders as well, and they have years, some of them decades of experience in the field and helping different types of groups, and also groups that aren't so easily accessible. So it's a great tool that actually bringing the organization and individuals together on this one platform. It's much more efficient for sure for organizations and the individuals themselves who are learning and using the platform to learn and develop themselves and those skills. So it's great to see how many amazing, passionate people you have in the organization who want to create this big positive difference in the community. So obviously always more partners welcome who have that kind of similar vision. So we talk a lot about kind of what's there, but actually what are the exact tools that Skills360 provide? What can people actually do in there exactly?
Well, I think there's a number of key tools for both organizations and for individuals. You could call those diagnostic tools if you wanted to use a word. So it allows organizations and individuals the opportunity to go on, answer a number of questions about themselves or their organizations. And what that does, it refines down all the different resources on there, all the different opportunities on there, and produces recommendations for them. It can also, through its connection and its sharing area, its community area, provide opportunities, so, as I said, for people to connect and share. There's point systems on there, so individuals can gather points. Projects can then decide how they might want to use their points. A good example of that might be a community group who needs some equipment. They can get their participants to gather points on the system through training and development. We can then transfer those points into the equipment the project might need to succeed. So there's definitely an opportunity for organizations and projects to decide how they want to use the tools for themselves. So the main thing really is the diagnostics that allow us to say, this is the sort of training and development you need to get to where you want to do. A lot of the people that we have on Skills360 may have found traditional education difficult. They may be people who didn't do particularly well in education. And what we don't want to do is say to someone, here you go, to be a community leader, you need to get this qualification. Instead, what we provide is the opportunity to, what I like to call, the crumbs along the journey. So it might be, to start with, you just need to watch a short video. You then might want to read a document, or maybe do a short e-learning course. These are the steps if you eventually want to get to a qualification that you need to support your community. So it's all about personalized journeys for individuals.
That's fantastic. And I've actually seen there's a lot of bite-sized videos as well. So sometimes we think, oh, goodness me, I haven't got time to complete training or training courses, or it takes such a long time. But actually, having seen there are an abundance of short bite-sized resources that it's quite easy to tap into. So it doesn't actually take very long at all to go and actually learn and develop these key skills to run community groups and become a community leader if someone wants to go as that far. So what would you say is the problem that Skills360 is trying to address? Because there is indeed a growing number of resources as well, which we of course always welcome more resources as well from partners and individuals who are keen to develop any kind of content. So what types of problems or challenges are we trying to address with Skills360?
Well, I think we touched on it earlier, Susan, and I think the key thing really is that too often community organizations don't have access to the funding or the knowledge to get the training they require. But also what we tend to find is training providers are very good at what they do, but they've also got a business to run. And what they'll do is they want to sign people up to their training provision. That doesn't necessarily mean it's right for that organization, that community. And the training providers that we're partnering with understand the community, and they understand that they want to provide what the community wants. So what Skills360 is trying to do is actually solve that problem by, if you like, being the space where training providers can say, this is what we're offering, but you tell us if that's right. You tell us if we need to do something different. Community groups can also say, this is the training we need. And by many community groups looking for training together, actually that pushes down the cost of training. Community groups can say, well, actually we can't afford 12 courses or 12 places on a course. We've only got 2, but another community group locally can say, well, we can provide 3 more, which then makes it more efficient for a training provider to put on that required training. So really it's about saying, how do we make it more efficient? How do we make the funding that a community group has go further, at the same time understanding that development and progress and helping individuals develop and learn and grow is absolutely fundamental to the success of the entire project.
That's fantastic. And it's certainly Skills360 is full of opportunities for both organizations and individuals. And I think it's, as we mentioned earlier, it has a grand vision of bringing these communities and individuals together. So what would you say are perhaps some of the shared values of Skills360 and your customers and the users?
It's a really good question, Susan. The words we like to talk about is about belonging. It's about community. We're about learning new things, but also around participation. You know, we know that the more community groups that are out there, the more they engage with their community, the more people get active in those communities, And when I mean active, that could be physically active, but it also might be active just out there doing things within their community. So participation's really important. Trust is vital for us. The community organisations have to trust what we deliver and trust what the training providers will deliver. We're also really keen on the values of support and contribution. So there's lots of what you could say, some great words in there, some great values, but we do mean it, but that's because we absolutely align with the community groups who are serving their communities directly, and that's what they believe. So it's important that that's where we're coming from too.
Absolutely, and it's great to be able to bring all of these resources and organizations together, because there's so much that everyone can learn from each other, rather than everyone starting from absolutely from scratch and having those maybe challenges or frustrations, not knowing how to go about with certain projects, or even challenges with any kind of activities that they may have during their working day. So having that actually tool and having those partners from all over, well, locally especially, but even growing further than that, is actually provide that, which helps them to grow in itself. So organizations are growing, but also helping those individuals grow, share resources and best practices, and definitely some great resources out there, which I highly recommend to look at and learning from how other people are running these community groups. So talking a lot about communication and how we want to obviously grow Skills 360 and how we want to help individuals to use that to develop. So what would you say is the communication focus or the aim for Skills 360?
I think we really are about seeking to understand. I think we are about engaging with community organisations and seeking to understand their needs. We've all been through, the whole world, as we know, has been through difficult times with COVID. And just for an example, Susan, when we were doing the initial work on Skills 360 and we asked the community organisations we were engaged with about their particular needs, the things they were talking about were, and these are part of Skills 360, they were talking about resilience, they were talking about safeguarding, they were talking about inclusiveness and diversity. Now, those things haven't gone away and they're still vitally important. But when we conducted that same survey 3 months ago, top of the list was digital skills. That didn't appear in the top 10 before. So it shows that our community now, because of what's happening in COVID, has realised that digital skills have become absolutely crucial. So for us, by understanding that, we have to now provide a solution to that need. So again, we're now engaging with digital providers at both a national level, but also at a community level that can provide local communities with the training and development that they need in this particular area. So that's a really good example of where we've tried to seek to understand and then solve that particular problem. We also are trying very, very hard through our communication strategy to remove barriers. If someone says, well, the barrier to this community organisation succeeding is they need a particular safeguarding qualification, or they're being told they do, we can help them understand whether actually it's a qualification, or is it maybe not a qualification, maybe it's actually better understanding, or is it putting them in touch with an organisation that's been through this problem before. So trying to remove barriers is really, really important to us. And also just showcasing through our communication strategy, the great work that is going on out there. And we're talking about community groups with 2 or 3 or 4 people who turn up day in, week in, month in, year in, serving that community, and just need the support around training and development and around opportunity that maybe they're not used to getting.
Well, that's great, especially, absolutely, we can see that happening a lot, especially people putting their heart and soul into working with the community. And actually, sometimes these individuals are the best kept secrets and they have huge amounts of knowledge, which is why we're so keen to see also your community leaders share engagement and marketing tools even. It's not always just about doing the work, but actually how to spread the word and how to actually raise the bar a little bit, and even strategies to share things in social media or publicly in general, because sometimes people just are not quite aware of what great work is going behind the scenes. So that's great that this platform is being developed and that organizations have that opportunity. So just before we then finish, because of course I could ask you many more questions about Skills 360, and I'm personally very, very keen on the opportunities that it provides for organizations, community groups, community leaders, so many different types of individuals. So what would you say if someone wanted to get started, because there are so many opportunities? What would be the best way to maybe, sounds interesting, what should one do to kind of get started with it, or who should they contact?
Well, I think the key really is to go visit the website skills360.org.uk, and when you get there, to go to our partner area and our community area and just have a look at all the different projects there, and you'll very quickly say, hey, that's just a project just like ours. That's the sort of thing we do. It's very easy then to get in touch through the platform. One of our team will then have a conversation with you around the sorts of work you do and how the platform might benefit you. And then signing up to the platform, or enrolling, as we like to say, on the platform, and engaging is very straightforward. And we set partners up within 24 hours or so, their own partner area within the site. And then it's really saying, how do we then support you, engage you, help you? How do you then make friends on the platform, who then no doubt will be able to help you even more? So really, visit skills360.org.uk and get in touch through the platform is by far and away the easiest way. There is an app. There is an app with this as well, and I wanted to talk about the app quickly. And the reason I want to talk about the app is it means that what we're finding is so many community projects are based out in what we call the real world, where they might be setting up a kitchen in a park, or they might be doing a run lead in a community area. And we want them to share what we're doing. And so the app was really important, because obviously with smartphones everywhere these days, it's easy for them to upload what they're doing, to evidence what they're doing, to video what they're doing, and then share that. So as well as the online website, there is an app that has much of the functionality. So that allows us to reach out into the community much more than through just the digital platform.
That's excellent. And you have a lot of, like you mentioned a few times, training providers as well, that have become partners who provide these opportunities and community activities, and they have the opportunity to share some of those events with others as well, which is fantastic. And you've got almost like an own social media in there as well, which is great. It's been growing in use, and it's really great to see sharing best practice and sharing upcoming events. So really, for any community leader, community group, a new volunteer, we obviously highly recommend going on to Skills 360, having a look around, contacting someone to get started as well. So thank you, Mark, and thank you so much for your resilience and hard work on the platform, and how you've put the vision together of many different groups and organizations wanting to have these kind of resources and opportunities to promote what they do, and just become known for what they actually do, not to be that best kept secret anymore, but simultaneously as well is provide that training and development for their employees and volunteers as well. So it's been such a pleasure having you here, Mark, today. So thank you again for your time.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you. Really enjoyed that. Thank you.
Thanks very much. See you again soon.